What's going on, guys? This is Billy Paz One here, back again for part two of this episode. However, it's all going to be in one because Bobby Break the Walls 10 is all good with that shit. And we are here right now with good old Stevie Breech from the YWC. Say hi, Stevie.
What is up, guys? I am marking out. Thank you very much for letting me be the first guest on the podcast.
No problem, bro. No problem. Always a pleasure here with Bobby and Billy Paz. But we're going to get into this. We're going to talk about a few topics. First up, Billy Paz wants to talk a little bit about indie wrestling because, Breech, if I'm not mistaken, we went to Atlanta. Not just you and I, because I don't want to make it sound like a fucking backstory. But you, me, Ravi, Juice Cage 29, I can't remember his name. Fucking It's Miguel, fucking Yo, fucking Yaya, his name. Son of a bitch, I'm botching the shit out of it.
See, you know why? This is, once again, this is exactly why the iTunes podcast has to be listed under explicit.
Two times now. And, of course, who else was there? I was there, and you were there. So, yeah, we went to Ring of Honor Night 1 Friday night. What the fuck did you think about this promotion, never seeing it before, Steve?
It blew me away from only seeing a few greatest hits DVDs and seeing the HD net shows. This was better than expected. I mean, I honestly have been to a lot of shows. I mean, I can't say it's better than WrestleMania, but it is the best show experience I've ever been to. It beats the hell out of going to see the old school ECW. It beats going to Monday Night Raw. This was just. The product that they put out is so much like 80s style WWF. I mean, just everybody's a star. Nobody's, the job guy. It doesn't matter who you are on the card. You matter. And that's what I love about it. They give you tag team wrestling, singles wrestling. They blow the roof off. I mean, I've watched a couple shows since then that I picked up on DVD, and they don't really throw that many duds out there. Every match counts, and it delivers.
Now, when you say that, are you talking about the wrestling itself? Are you talking about the not superstars, but the wrestlers themselves? I mean, are they just generic jobbers that nobody gives a fuck about? People want to know this shit.
No, there is no generic jobber out there. I mean, I would probably, just for watching the show, I mean, basically not knowing a whole bunch about anybody. I mean, the only guy out there that really didn't matter to me was Michael Elgin.
Oh man!
Wrestled the opening match. That was probably the only job guy that I could tell that was there.
Oh.
But I mean, every guy there was. I mean, the reason why I love 80s style WWF wrestling was you knew, like looking back, you knew Hogan was never going to get beat. But they made it look like anybody on the card could have been champion. If it was just their one night and they could have done it. I mean, like, anybody that's just laughed at now. If you go back and watch Superstars or Wrestling Challenge, they pushed Coco Beware like he was the man. And, I mean, you never really could tell that, when he would lose on Saturday night's main event that he was doing a job. I mean, it's just, everybody on that roster matters. And that's the same way ROH is to me. I just love it. And then the tag team wrestling is what really gets me. I love tag team wrestling. You don't really get to see it anymore. Like, TNA had a real good tag division in like 2005, 2006. They had like even like the Voodoo Kin Mafia. They had the LAX. They had the Dudleys just went there. I mean, they built up a real good tag division. And even they've sort of given up on it. WWE gave up on it years ago. But I mean, like ROH has like, and people like I say how great the ROH tag division is. People are like, you should have been watching 2 years ago. This is nowhere like it used to be. I mean, they got Kings of Wrestling. They got the Briscoes. They've got World's Greatest Tag Team. They've got All Night Express. I mean, these guys are great. I mean, the tag team wrestling is where it's at as ROH. That's why I love them so much.
So, would you consider those tag teams that you just listed your favorites in Ring of Honor?
I look at World's Greatest Tag Team like they're a WWE tag team in ROH, so I don't like to call them my favorites, but I've loved everything I've seen of them. All Night Express and the Briscoes are the guys that are fighting to be my favorite. I went down to Atlanta seeing more of Kenny King and really liking him, so I was saying ANX was my favorite, but now that I've watched more Briscoe matches, I'm starting to like the Briscoes a whole lot more and be more connected to them. The Briscoes versus Kings of Wrestling I believe it's Death Before Dishonor 8. That match I can watch it 1,000 times in a row. I swear to you, I love that match.
Now, would you say going into the Ring of Honor Atlanta shows, were you kind of like a little bit, I don't know, like you had your doubts about this if you would like it or not, and did you go in there with any?
Of course, I was really scared because I was really scared that I wasn't gonna know who everybody was. I wasn't gonna know the feuds. I wasn't gonna know, why this guy was fighting that guy, so on and so forth. I wasn't going to be up on the storylines, and I got hosed because I was going to sit next to Miguel and Rabbi, who are big ROH fans, and I was going to sort of talk to them, but because I bought my tickets early and they bought their tickets later, our tickets weren't together, and the guy said we could sit together, but then people showed up and I had to move, and I ended up having to sit by myself, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm screwed. I'm not going to know anything. But it's wrestling. I mean, they do it right. You know who to boo. You know who to. Well, they had heels come out of one place, they had the faces come out of another, so that was sort of easy. But it's just wrestling. You just fall in line. If people start booing, you start booing too, and it's easy. I mean, they do wrestling right. That's why it's so good.
Now, would you say going into it? Would you say that you were kind of like I don't want to say sheep, but were you kind of like a WWE mark and compare?
I will always love WWE. I mean, that's the main company. That's where all the stars go. That's where that's what they're working to get to. And I sort of thought that they were like a minor league promotion. Like, I wouldn't even have called them like AAA. I thought they were like lower than low. I was like, if they are only on this high TV station that barely anybody gets, they can't be that good. I mean, I thought people hyped them up online like they were something huge, but I was like, they probably can't deliver. They might have a good match every now and then, but I didn't know that like the whole card was great. That's what really surprised me.
Now, do you think that it was like hard when you talk about the storylines and shit like that? Was it hard to get into the storylines, or did it bother you knowing that ROH was kind of a loosely based storyline product where they only had so many storylines in one show?
No, that didn't really bother me at all. It just blew me away how much I didn't even really realize how much I missed wrestling before that. I mean, even when you get matches on Raw, you might get, because they have so much storyline, so much, mostly talking, more interviews and everything else just to fill that 2-hour block up. I mean, you don't even, even on the pay-per-views, they don't really wrestle that much. I mean, I love to see real wrestling. I want suplexes and clotheslines and body slams. I want, lions and tigers and more. I just, I mean, and you don't really get that anymore watching WWE. And it's just I'm not ready to say that I'm gonna give up on this, but most of the time wrestling progresses and gets better. They sort of fell asleep through the early '90s, and then WCW sort of changed it up, and they started to make the bad guy cool, and that's what progressed wrestling to get more fans into it, like with the NWO, and then WWE took a step forward. With Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's what started the snowball rolling to make wrestling real big. And then all of a sudden, just that formula didn't work anymore. And they just kept on rolling with it because they're like, well, we can make it just as much money and keep this many fans. They don't ever think about changing it up and to get bigger again. And it's like ROH. Instead of finding something to make it go forward, they were like, well, wrestling worked back then. Why don't we make it like that? Like back in the 80s. And it's now their ball is rolling and WWE's is just sort of muttering along. But ROH is getting bigger and bigger. Every day more fans find it. There's more people talking about it on YouTube. I know YouTube is not that big, but I mean, it is huge when you find that younger and younger kids are finding out what it is. There was a big, splash, a whole bunch of people found out about ROH with Bryan Danielson when he got on NXT, and, they sort of, saw that this guy can work and he was good, and, a whole bunch of people jumped on ship. And, I mean, you get a few more people in that ROH store, and they're going to be a bigger company than more people think they are.
Definitely, Breech. And one more thing, a lot of people, they complain about the indies. They say, that these wrestlers don't have personalities and all they do is just flippy, floppy shit and fucking stuntmen and shit like that. Did you feel that these guys, I know that WWE has based their fucking product on, developing characters and whatnot. Do you think that ROH has enough characters to be, I guess, a good wrestling product, or is it just straight up good wrestling?
It's just good wrestling, but the roster that they have, they make sure everybody matters. Yeah. Everybody's over in their own little way. Even when I was watching some of the older shows, they had a team like, I remember I was watching it with some people, and we were all sort of talking about what we were watching, and a team came out, I think they were called like Up in Smoke.
Yep.
And they're like,
Cloudy. Yep.
These guys don't matter, they're just sort of there to fill out the card. And even their stuff worked. I mean, they got over with their Rastafarian gear, and I thought their name was pretty cool.
Yep.
So I mean, did they have enough storylines? I do and I don't like that. You have to watch the video wire in order to get like promos. I sort of wish that they might work a promo or two in to what they're doing, like just to help stuff. But then they did that on night 2 to sort of progress the Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards feud, and that works. And maybe if they talk too much, maybe I wouldn't like it. Maybe I want a little bit more.
Well, it's good, Stevie, that more and more people are starting to realize that there is alternatives.
What do you want, Paz?
I was waiting for Bobby. Oh.
But yeah, they're.
I think he went to go take a piss or something. But no, that's all we wanted for indie wrestling.
Oh, my bad. I have my mic off. Botch.
He was like, fuck this guy. What's he talking about?
And I'm kind of looking at you like you got 3 heads.
No, you know what it was, Stevie? You offended me by saying that Michael Elgin is a jobber, because
I heard you go, what?
Oh, I am.
That's all right. I agree, Steve.
I am a big fan of Michael Elgin, so that did hurt me a little bit. So I do apologize for that.
Hey, well, I've done that for Christian too. I go after all your guys. You just make me a list, and I'll kill them all.
Well, you know what? We'll call it even because I hate Jack Swagger. So that.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
When is this gonna end? I mean,
when
is that gonna end for real? I mean, like I was thinking like maybe they were gonna progress this into Lawler versus Swagger because the sheets said that, and I was like, and it also looked like Swagger was gonna win the damn U.S. title last week from Kofi, and then he comes out and he agrees to the match for another rematch of Cole versus Lawler. You gotta be kidding! Nobody wants to see this. You don't have anybody like calling up their local cable companies like, I gotta see that Cole versus Lawler match. This is gonna be the one that breaks the doors down. Nobody wants to see this. I mean, like, there's guys out there.
We were just talking about this, bro.
Yeah, you should be seeing the U.S. title defended or the Intercontinental title defended. There's no way for this storyline to end. You're never going to be able to see Lawler and Cole on the commentating team again, so it doesn't make sense what they're doing.
Yeah, you know what? I think maybe if Swagger turns face, I may, change my opinion about him. But for now, Swagger sucks. But anyway.
If he was going to do it, he would have done it already.
This is true. WWE doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. But let's talk about something that is a lost art in professional wrestling that may be brought back by WWE. The Managers. If you guys watched Superstars this past week, which I doubt any of you did, or anybody in the WWE universe did.
I love WWE universe.
Oh yeah, it's great phrase, great slang.
Yeah, because we're not wrestling fans.
No, we're a universe of entertainment fans. I think that's what they want to call us.
We don't equal shit. It's just one big universe, and we all have the same thoughts, and we're a bunch of robots, and fuck this cult.
Yeah, and so Tyson Kidd comes out with Michael Hayes, and that's a pretty big shocker because that came out of nowhere, really. Tyson Kidd was going nowhere. So my question to you, Stevie, is do you like the role managers play? Do you think it should be brought back? And what do you see coming out of this manager flavor of the month thing that WWE has going on now?
I will admit that I didn't see it. I read about it, and the first thing that came to my mind is I want to know if Michael Hayes came out wearing that white suit that he wears to all the Hall of Fame. Was he dressed up like that?
Oh man, I don't.
In the big old pimp suit, like
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
When he wears that thing, Somebody made fun of him for it at the Hall of Fame one year, and I think it was The Rock, but I can't remember what he called him. But if he's wearing that, it's over already. I mean, I would love to start to see.
I don't think he was wearing it, but I know he was wearing a suit.
I'd love to see him come back with like the old school Doc Hendricks fucking look and fucking come out and fucking be a manager. That'd be dope.
Was he trying to sell jeans jackets while he's out there? Like, call 1-800-WB shop.
But you know what? He actually cut a pretty good promo, to my surprise. I mean, he still has it.
Oh, I know. He'll never lose the Freebirds. I mean, he was the mouthpiece for that. And I think that's the reason why he still has his job, is just because of the whole Freebirds thing.
So do you like the manager roles, and do you think it should be brought back full time with WWE, just so that it could be like?
It's worked. I mean, it worked with not Teddy Long. It worked with Mark Henry and
Tony Atlas.
Tony Atlas. That's where I was trying to go. That worked. I mean, but they didn't want to keep the ball rolling. I mean, and then Teddy Long had that stable of people with Rodney Mack. I almost said Willie Mack. I've been talking about him so much.
So good.
But it's been a long time since we've seen a real manager. I wouldn't even Sonny is the one that probably changed the game. You know, that made him say, like, you know, we can have a girl out there that's hot, and then we can merchandise her other ways. You know, and then I think that's pretty much what killed managers. I mean, if you wanted to point the finger at who killed it. But I always liked managers. You had a guy like Heenan out there who would just, you know, he just gather up some heat during the match. Like, all you have to do is the easy, just, you know, pull your hand in there as the guy runs the ropes and trip him, and that gives the advantage back to the heels. And they make the matches better. You get guys out there that can't deliver a promo. You get a guy that can talk for them. It helps get more guys over. I'd love to have managers back. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna pay to see. Well, you know, Heenan brought money in back in the day in the '80s, like when people like the Warrior or something like that, he'd have a match with him, and people would pay to see him get his ass kicked if he built up enough, you know, hatred, heat on him. So I'm all about bringing managers back, but I think you have to do it right, and I think you have to stick with it. You don't just, you know, do it for a while and then just make them, you know, existent again.
Right. And you know what? I think a lot of people are being used correctly somewhere. For instance, I love the group The Embassy from Ring of Honor. You have Prince Nana, who's just working great with them.
People want to kill that guy. Who the hell is the other guy that dresses up in the suit with the turtleneck?
Turtleneck. Oh, it's just some fucking jobber. I can't remember his fucking name.
Like, everybody was hating him. I felt sorry for that guy. You know, it's like 110 degrees down there under all them lights, and he's got the freaking turtleneck on. He was sweating like crazy.
You know, he's probably only making $50 a night. You know,
he probably has to take down the ring too.
Probably so. So I agree. You know, it's been so lost in WWE. You know, we really haven't had a great manager in forever. I mean, you have some guys that have a manager and it just enhances their character. For instance, Paul Bearer has been doing great, but you know, everything that went down recently with Kane and Taker, what the fuck? I mean, I don't know. Managers, I think it's a great move. However, I'm not seeing enough of it to completely sell me on it. You know, I do kind of blame the Divas. I think that for a while in the late 90s that this was just all they were doing. They were giving guys female managers, and it just kind of killed it for me.
But you know what?
If the girl's hot, they're going to get over. I mean, it helps get the guy over because you want to see the girl, so you have to see the guy.
But you know what?
You had Deborah and Jarrett, you had Hardys and fucking Terry. I mean, there was just too much shit, though.
I will say this, though. I am very much in favor of this, only because two guys that most of the YWC loves and IWC, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, and Evan Bourne, two guys who fans have wanted to see be pushed for a long time. Maybe if they get mouthpieces, they finally get that push. And, you know, I think their wrestling speaks for himself, but, you know, that's not the only attribute that WWE wants from their superstars. So I think this could be a really great move, but hopefully, like you said, Stevie, hopefully it's not just one of those temporary things that will go away in a few months.
Yeah. Back in January, they gave, you know, Booker T an announcing job that sort of took Matt Striker's job away from SmackDown. And, you know, people like Matt Striker, people don't. I love Striker, but I think if you make him a heel manager, I think that's the best guy they have on the roster right now that they could put out there that's going to help guys get over. Because that guy's great at talking, and I think he can get a lot of heel heat if he's a heel manager.
Yep. Definitely, bro. Definitely.
Well, he's done that before, though. He was the manager on ECW, wasn't he?
Who?
He managed somebody.
Striker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Striker.
can't remember who, but yeah, I think it was Thorne. No.
Big Daddy B, wasn't it? I think he was Big Daddy B's manager.
So,
Yeah, he was.
definitely. So,
But yeah, that's about it, guys. Thanks for coming on here, Stevie. This will hopefully not be the last of you we see on the Billy and Bob Wrasslin show. It's always great talking to you. Anything you want to say to the people, the listeners out there, Steve?
plug yourself. Plug yourself.
Oh man, I'm just a normal guy. I'm so I feel great when I can go on other people's videos or help people's podcasts because I'm surprised every time I get a click, man. StevieBreech on YouTube. Thank you very much.
So get your ass over, type this shit in, www.youtube.com/not/StevieBreech. Make sure you subscribe, bitch.
Also, follow Epic StevieBreech on Twitter, at StevieBreech.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, when you get those ROH things in the mail, or the new ROH DVDs in the mail that are up for pre-order on ROHstore.com, you will see a whole bunch of StevieBreech tweeting both nights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you see Kevin Kelly standing right there, and then you see fucking StevieBreech tweeting right there on his fucking BlackBerry.
And if you also need Braves score updates, this is the man to follow.
That's the man. Yeah, come on. Get that Nitro Grill out. Cook yourself some steaks. Nice meeting y'all. Like I said, this has been a great time hanging out with StevieBreech. Bobby, I'll talk to you later. Guys, Billy Bob and Wrasslin Show, we're out.
Subscribe on iTunes. See you guys.